let's talk about the mindset that it actually took to actually, one, get into law school, and two, to get through law school.
Right. This is PG-13, right?
Yeah, whatever.
Give it to him raw.
I got to a place in my life where I'm just going to swing for the fence. Don't call me judge in public. It's always Cruz. And that's one thing I'm really big on, is that my name Cruz, to me, has more weight than any title that someone can give me. Because when you're elected, you can lose that title real quickly. My name Cruz is never going anywhere.
That's your reputation.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I mean, and I love that. That's really identity is a space that I like to study, and how our identity shifts. But like you said, you can lose a title, and a lot of people who do hang on to those titles are lost when they lose those titles. They don't know who they are, and they've got to reestablish themselves or and put more power behind their name, if you will, because they were who the title said they were.
Right.
Hey, welcome back to the Always Level Up podcast. We're here to explore a journey on purpose, perseverance, and personal growth, as usual. I'm your host, Tracy Ross Garcia, and my
your
co-host,
Carlos Garcia.
Today we're sitting here with Judge Cruz.
Whatever.
Welcome to the show.
I appreciate it.
He's got a long list of accolades and achievements. And
We'll let you introduce yourself, but I know you as just a good friend from back in the day. I think we served boards together. You were an attorney then, judge now. So we're going to get into a little bit of kind of your pathway to success and some of the roadblocks and challenges that you've met along the way and how you've been able to overcome those. So you can go ahead and take it away. Introduce yourself.
All right. Well, I'm Cruz Shaw, and I'm the district court judge for the 436, local Houstonian. I've been in San Antonio about 20 years. But I love San Antonio. I've been here and just kind of doing my thing, trying to help people out best I can. Nice. That's the short, sweet version of it.
Love it. 20 years is good.
20 years is great. So where did it all begin? You said Houston?
Right, born and raised in Houston. Southside Houston, single mom. My mom's Hispanic, my dad's black. Nice. My mom raised me. I got raised with a chancla growing up. Yeah. So, kept me on that. Familiar. Yeah. So she kept me on that straight and narrow. But, it was good. It was good. Moved to San Antonio after playing baseball, and I finished up at UTSA.
Okay, nice.
And then kind of figured out my path in life, got in some trouble, kind of, figured things out. Had a friend of mine said I should go to law school, so that was art. Art's like, you need to go to law school. So I said, all right. So the funny story about that is that I applied to 10 different law schools, okay? I didn't get into not one of them.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't get into one of them. And so law school started on a Monday. They called me on a Thursday, and I'm working at, it used to be called World Savings, the bank off 151. Mm-hmm. So I was working there. They called me on Thursday and said, you still want to go to law school? All right, bet. Yeah, I'll do it. So I walk into World Savings on Friday in chanclas and shorts. we need to have a conversation because I'm about to quit. Like, you're quitting? Like, yeah. So I said, you can always come back, if you don't make it in law school. So, all right. So I jumped in my Jeep, drove to Houston, had orientation on Sunday. And I went to Thurgood Marshall School of Law, Texas Southern. And one of the presenters was like, y'all are the last 10 to get into law school. Majority, you're probably not going to make it. We need to fill numbers, but we're giving you the opportunity.
Wow.
That's all right, bet. Okay. So,
all right, favors on your
side.
Don't
count me out.
That's all right, bet. So, of course, get through our first year of law school, come up on the bar exam, like, okay, we have a low bar passage rate. You're probably not going to pass the bar your first shot. You were a C student. You know. So, all right, cool, bet. So, of course, passed the bar on my second shot.
All right.
And came to San Antonio. I did 8 years military in the United States Navy. As a reservist, and I was down there. It was fun because I was enlisted, but I was doing JAG work because I was in law school and also an attorney.
Yeah.
But I never got commissioned.
Wow.
And practicing law here, and then, ran for city council, which was a story in itself. I was served about 15 months for District 2, and it wasn't my thing. It wasn't my thing. So then I got appointed to be an associate judge in the juvenile courts. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about that is that the lady that appointed me is an older white Republican woman. Mm-hmm. And here I'm a young Black-skinned Democrat.
Right.
And we worked so well together, worked real well. And then when she decided that she wasn't going to run again, Cruz, you need to run. And I said, I'm done running campaigns. I'm not doing any more elections. So, all right, well, they need somebody like me on this bench. So I ran and I won. So here I am.
All right.
Here we go.
So what was it that you laugh and kind of say that it wasn't for you? But I mean, I thought you fit the position well. What was it about that district position that made you think that there was something more, or there was something else, or?
Coming from the private side, especially as an attorney, I didn't want to waste people's time. Let's get a job done and move on to the next.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of talking, a lot of grandstanding. One thing I took a lot of pride in is I read the city charter over and over and over again. And so I knew what our responsibility was as a city council person. There was no reason to be sitting up there talking about other things that had nothing to do with our responsibility to the citizens of San Antonio. And it got old. It got old quickly. One thing I believed in, at the time Ron was the mayor, I always told him, you got to put a shot clock in, man. Because if you give constituents 3 minutes, we need 3 minutes because we're constituents. We're no better than anybody else.
Yeah.
And the way I think is that if you don't know your argument, I'll say in 6 sentences, you don't know it. As you keep talking and talking, I think you're trying to convince yourself what that argument is.
Right. Yeah.
And they would go on and on and on, and then eventually they put a shot clock up. I think it was 10 minutes, or I don't know how much you put on it. But it was just, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me. I don't need to be treated special. I didn't need to go to galas and events and,
Right.
it's all the same people. Everyone's talking to you because it's a position. It's not you.
Right. Right.
Okay? A lot of people don't realize that. They don't realize it. They think it's them. Like, no, it's not you. It's the position.
Yeah.
Right.
And what's interesting, I still have a small circle of folks that I deal with. Now, I am a judge, but I'm a juvenile judge. So I can't do anything for them.
Right.
But, you kind of develop some good relationships.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I wanted to take a step back.
Uh-oh, here we go.
You
we
said
go.
something that caught my attention.
Okay.
Which was I got in some trouble. And I've been in trouble before too, so I know what that means. But I wanted to see, what was that? Share a little bit about that experience, and then what'd you learn from it?
Okay. I got in trouble in Houston, and I got arrested, and so they took me to jail. And
About how old were you?
I was about 20.
Okay.
About 20.
Okay. Cool.
But before that, when I was younger, I got in some trouble on the streets. It wasn't like legal trouble.
Right. Right.
Different beefs going on in the streets and different people saying different things and
Right.
kind of put your head low.
Yeah,
kinda,
that's some serious trouble.
Yeah,
too.
that's
That's a different level.
And so I learned at that time that I can be in the streets, but I don't have to be about the streets.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can hang out with certain people, but I don't have to do what they do. And that's what that was a huge life lesson for me. I can go to certain communities right now, and I can hang out with the hooders, or I can go to a corporate office and hang out with with the corporates. I can do both, but I know that I'm not a street dude, and I don't have to be in these streets and do what a lot of my friends are probably still doing back home. But that was an eye opener.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And what kind of, when you're saying you were experiencing that with getting in trouble with people in the streets, right? How did that leave you feeling? And what decisions did that lead to next after?
Get out of Houston.
Yeah, just get out of Houston. Change your environment.
Yeah.
Environment.
Change the environment. Mom can't always be there to protect you.
Right. Right.
Some decisions that we make, there's consequences to those decisions.
Absolutely.
Or whether or not you're a part of that decision-making process, if you're around those individuals who are making that decision, you are now part of that process.
Right. Yeah.
So also learning about who I should be hanging around.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Yeah. That's.
Yeah.
That's major. That's a lesson I talk to my kids about all the time. From my 14-year-old to still the 22-year-old, where it's like who you hang around with matters, and our environment is huge. Is a huge part of what forms us and how we, how we decide and how we make our decisions. And so being able to step out and find something new so you can reinvent yourself. I think that's a big component of change that a lot of people are afraid to let go of for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we get complacent.
Yeah.
We get comfortable. So when you look for change, you're going to be uncomfortable. And you have to be willing to accept that, appreciate it, absorb it, and grow from it. A lot of folks don't like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's something that resonates with me, being that, similar background in terms of growing up in the hood and being in an environment where, hey, people are doing bad things and committing crimes, and, it's a normal thing. Right. It's a normal thing. And you're there and you think you can, you can be part of the cruise and be cool, but hey, I ain't doing what they're doing. But hey, eventually you get sucked in.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually you get sucked in and it hits the fan, and life gets real fast.
Yep.
And, at that point, you really have to reassess what's happening and think about, hey, where is this going to lead me?
Yep.
And, that helped me make some decisions along with, Tracy here influencing, leading me to the classroom.
There you go.
Let's go to the classroom. This is a better environment for you, I promise.
Yeah,
I'm like,
let's experiment in the classroom.
I think you're right.
Streets ain't for me either.
I was like, but I'm from here. I'm not gonna turn my back. I'm never gonna leave. Like, hold on, watch what you say.
Right. Yeah.
I got to get out of here
Because when things get rough, you'll see who's in your corner.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
You'll see who's in your corner. I tell these kids all the time, they're in circles of negative influences, but yet the only person in their corner is mom and dad, grandma, uncle. Those friends aren't with you. You're here by yourself, so you can do your time by yourself.
Exactly.
So are you willing to do that?
Right.
So, and hopefully they learn.
Yeah. And it's like, you choose two different paths, right? Both of them are going to lead you to do two different places, two different environments, and you're going to meet different people on these environments. Now, it's the quality of people that you're going to associate, which is going to make the biggest difference, right? So, when you go to the classroom, yes, and you're going through college, life's a struggle, but everybody's going through it. But the best thing about it is people are actually going through it to become a better version of themselves.
Correct.
Right. They want a future. They want a career. They want to be somebody that's going to make a difference or do something worthy that's going to at least allow them to make a income that they can live off of, right? Or do more than that, whatever it may be.
Yeah, something to do to make your mom and dad proud.
Right. So that decision helped you transition from Houston, get out of Houston, get to the classroom as well, right? And did you go Navy Reserves first, and then college?
Yeah, then college.
What was the thought process behind that?
Well, it was funny because I was scuba diving at the time.
Okay.
So I wanted to travel, and I wanted to be by water.
Oh, God, that was an easy recruit right there.
Navy.
We got you.
Yeah, Navy. I did a little work, teaching over at Lanier, like I was telling you earlier, and so one of the officers there was in the Navy. So he hooked me up with the recruiter. I went over there. I mean, I was like this. Let's go.
All right.
I went to Great Lakes for boot camp, and then I was stationed over here and in Singapore. So I go back and forth.
Nice.
And, I enjoyed it. Traveled all throughout Asia.
Heard a lot of good things about Singapore.
I loved it. And I would never have gotten that opportunity if it wasn't for the military.
Right.
Yeah, military, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, of course, Singapore, Australia. I mean, I saw some things and I've eaten some things, I've drank some things that I probably would never have experienced if it wasn't for the military. But it was cool. I had a good time.
You got you around different cultures.
Yeah.
I love the military for those exact reasons. I don't think it's for everybody. I am a Air Force brat. My dad was in the Air Force, retired from the Air Force, but none of his kids went to the military. But we do
we'll
tell our
experiment.
My older brother was at the Naval Academy playing football for about a year and a half, and then once football season was over, he's like, you know what, this is not the life for me.
Fooled you. Yeah.
Let's go to U of H and
fooled you.
yeah. But we, one of our sons is at West Point.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. He's going into his senior year.
That's dope.
Now,
Congrats. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we're proud of him.
Yeah.
Firstborn.
Right.
Yep. He's out there.
So
doing
we are,
great.
and it's for me. I'm like, okay, so the next 8 years of your life are already planned for you.
Right.
That makes me feel a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
Although the world is kind of going cuckoo right now, so I'm just praying that he doesn't have to go anywhere anytime soon. But no, but military, you're right. It's just it's a space for self-discipline, to learn some good habits, to be around, to be forced to kind of get your stuff together, and to have these experiences, like you said,
and a whole lot of resources,
right,
that helps you succeed, right?
Yeah.
Because then you get access to grants and education funds.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
I got that VA loan on my mortgage. Yeah, you can't beat that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
You say how much down?
Yeah, zero. Okay,
Take it.
This interest rate is this? Oh, yeah, I'm on it.
Sign me up.
Yeah, no, so many benefits. So, you've had some roles that hold a lot of responsibility. How do you define leadership in those areas, in those ways? And, kind of what does that look like for you and leadership from the bench or from being an attorney to where you are now?
I think leadership is a very operative word. And the way I've approached everything from my law practice to city council to being a sitting district court judge, I'm no better than anybody else. We're a team. I know y'all Spurs fans, so I'll use a Spurs analogy. And I don't even know who plays for the Spurs anymore.
Yeah, so there's one player.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the old school. When you had Duncan, Ginobili, and Robinson and Parker.
Right.
Sometimes you never wanted Robinson bringing the ball up the court.
Right.
Because his skill set was down low. You never wanted Tony Parker playing the post because his skill set was bringing the ball up. But they were all equally important in that team to make y'all win those championships. That's the way I approach any office that I'm in. From city council, I'm the person on the dais, but I couldn't do anything without my staff.
Yeah.
Celeste, Jarvis, Brencia, Matt, we all worked so well together that we all had our responsibilities. Charles, and I was just a person that sat on the dais and spoke. That was my role. Same thing on the bench. I have a court coordinator, I have 2 deputies, and I have a court reporter. And together we worked as a team to run that court efficiency and get justice for these kids and these families. So that's the way I've always approached it.
Yeah.
I'm no better than anybody else. As y'all know, I'm real easy to talk to. I'm real laid back. Don't call me judge in public. It's always Cruz. And that's one thing I'm really big on is that my name Cruz to me has more weight than any title that someone can give me. Because when you're elected, you can lose that title real quickly. My name Cruz is never going anywhere.
Right. That's your reputation.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. I mean, and I love that. That's really identity is a space that I like to study and how our identity shifts. But like you said, you can lose a title, and a lot of people who do hang on to those titles are lost when they lose those titles. They don't know who they are, and they've got to reestablish themselves or reinvent and put more power behind their name, if you will, because they were who the title said they were.
Right.
And then so I love that how you say that, I am who I am because Cruz is my name. That's who I am. That's what you get.
Yeah. Y'all know me. Y'all know me.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the hardest things for me is that when I got out of law school, I didn't know any lawyers until I needed one. Okay, so.
It's usually how it goes, right?
Right. And when I would be in the community or working with clients, they expected me to speak a certain way, use a certain vernacular. And it wore me out because it wasn't the way I normally speak. When I was on some of these corporate boards, actually more nonprofit boards, I would try to impress just because, I'll go in there with my suits and this and that, and it wore me out. And I guess call it masking.
Yeah.
We had to put on different masks. And then that's one thing I did learn about city council. I was like, you know what? I got to be who I am.
Yeah.
It just changed. And so the tie came off. The tattoos started showing. Some words were used on the dais that shouldn't have been used, but they knew, and I got my point across.
Yeah.
So that was huge for me in terms of my identity and being authentic to myself and people realizing exactly who I am. I'm still a professional. I still care, but I might not speak the way you expect me to speak or present the way you expect me to present. So I don't know. Just want to throw it out there.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome because especially in elected positions, people do. They wear these masks or it's a code switch or whatnot. But who are the people electing?
Right.
Right. And then when you show up as your true self, it's like, wait a minute. So I mean, that's the best way. Your authentic self.
Yeah, and I think it's what's even more important is the character behind the person, right? Like, we can have one face off in one environment, and then another face on in another environment. And it's like, well, who are you when no one's looking?
Right.
Right. And I think that's the most important thing. And if you can stay consistent with that, then, you uphold integrity.
Yeah.
With your name and your character. And with that, I want to touch on, the mindset, that you have, right? Because, I sense, when you were making these transitions and getting into law school, right? Like there's some rejection that's happening there, and you're just pushing through. So like, let's talk about the mindset that it actually took to actually, one, get into law school, and two, to get through law school.
Right. This is PG-13, right?
Yeah, whatever.
Give it to him raw.
I got to a place in my life where I'm just going to swing for the fence, and I'm okay striking out.
Right.
So how do I say this? So I gave a speech to an older crowd once, and they were probably college students. And afterwards, one of the gentlemen asked me, like, same question, like your mindset. And I told him, you have to get to a point where you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
And excuse my language, but it's super raw, super real. Like, I don't care if I fell or not. I'm still going to come up. I'm going to show up and show out every time. If I fell again, boom, get up, get out, show out. And I do that all the time. So I think that was a transition because, like, in my high school class, there's like 600 of us. I'm like 559. Like, my mother was so embarrassed that she knew my friends, like, they're higher than you? It is what it is, but I was lazy.
Yeah.
I didn't apply myself, and I didn't know that. I didn't know how to study. And so when I'm in law school, I'm intimidated. Like, this isn't my thing. But you just kind of keep kicking doors in. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And you will persevere. You will get through. So that was my mindset. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay striking out. I will be back up to bat next.
Right.
But I'm okay losing.
What flipped the switch for you? Because you said you were, at one point you were lazy. You didn't even put the effort in. When did the switch flip?
So when I left San Antonio to go to Houston for law school, one thing that I did not want to see happen, because all my friends come from the same environment. They're here. And they would clown the shit out of me if I flunked out of law school. Like, they would clown.
You were not going to give them the day.
And that's real talk. Like, there's no way in hell that I'm going back to San Antonio saying, I flunked out of law school.
I'm going back to world saving.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, that's real. Like, I did not want to be embarrassed. And so that was the switch. Like, I am not going to go back in this circle. We had a little thing called the round table. Right. So this little round table we'd sit at and play dominoes and drink. And I get the business. You get the business.
That hurt your feelings.
Yeah. And there's no way.
And you ain't leaving either.
There's no way I'm going back to San Antonio not being an attorney. No way. And so that's what kind of motivated me to get through and be successful with it.
I love that. And I think, with life and anything that we're doing meaningful, there's got to be something that's gonna turn it around, right? And because the laziness is just such a tough habit to break. A lot of people it's so easy. They want to live in comfort, and you start to want to try to find the easy way to do everything, and then you just get cut short every single time. So at some point, when you realize, like, whatever it is, like, hey, I don't want to be embarrassed in front of my friends, or hey, I got something to prove because I don't want to be another statistic. And that's for some people it's that. And I think when you find that and you flip that switch and you have that level of commitment, you're going to win. Yeah. You're going to win.
And you'll win when it's time for you to win.
When it's time for you to win. When you paid the price.
Right. It's not on your timetable. Okay, I'm not sure if you believe in religion, universe, spirituality, whatever. But there's a timeline set.
Yeah.
And it might not be your timeline, but you will win when it's your time to win.
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to keep on going.
Yeah.
You did talk about, we talked about leadership, what your view is on how you lead and how you really kind of take that team approach. And then earlier we also talked about, how it can be a little bit draining. And so what are some ways that you kind of stay grounded, or like when there's a lot of pressure, like how do you clear your mind and get through those things? I don't know, might be a little bit of a mindset question, but.
I think what helps me get through the days and the weeks is the gym, boxing, and always trying to learn and grow. Never being complacent with where I am. I read a lot. And it's trying to get a different mindset on what the world actually is. There's a great book called The Power of Now. And kind of getting rid of what happened yesterday and not anticipating too much in the future. Focusing on the present and absorb the present and enjoy the present. And so I'm digging that right now. But yeah, the gym, boxing, and reading, those are probably my my jams right now. And it's been for a while.
Yeah.
And then what's really interesting is that when it's really hit me, I'll go get tattooed.
We feel a little bit of pain.
Yeah.
And,
Get
but
some
also,
therapy.
on some real talk, like I'll sit there with my AirPods on and just zone out. And every negative thing that I've been thinking about, that's been bothering me, it kind of just eliminates when it's done. You sweat, you feel the pain, you go through all these different emotions. When it's all said and done, and he's wiping you down with the Vaseline or whatever they put on you.
You're like, whew.
Yeah.
All right.
I made it through it.
Yeah.
But I feel clean.
Right.
And so I was all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And so,
A release.
yeah.
I think with all three of those things that you like to do, what happens in those moments is it brings you to the present moment.
Yeah.
Because you're like, whether you're boxing, right, and you're doing mitt work or whatever it is, you're hitting the bag, and you don't really have time to think about anything else besides the breath that you're taking and keeping your arms moving through that burn. Or same thing with the workouts and tattoos. I mean, shoot, that pain's real.
Yeah. It's real.
You're just trying to breathe through it. Like, hold on, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. But you stick it out.
Nothing else matters at that time.
Yep. That's a good point. I never really thought about that. Yeah, that's an excellent point. Right now is a trend where people are going under to get tattooed.
Yeah.
I said, come on, man.
I know, you're missing out.
Yeah.
Well, because what they're doing
Avoiding.
is they're avoiding the process that you're supposed to go through. And I get it. People, they wanna look good and they want it to be part of their image as fast as possible. But man, I've been getting tattoos since 18 years old, and I'm like 2-3 hour windows. I'm good. I'll sit through my session. And I'll be back for more later.
Right. Or it's funny, you get up, you got another session, like, why am I doing this? Yeah, like, I'm paying for this. Like, really? Like, why am I doing this? And then,
What's wrong?
yeah.
What was the last tattoo that you got?
I got my daughter on my forearm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
I got my daughter. So that was a couple of months ago. That's cool. Yeah. And she's like, Daddy, that's me? Yep, that's you.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the best influence, but I mean,
I love that.
I'm ready for one. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've gotten a tattoo, but I was thinking about one the other day.
Yeah, we made at least we have a goal for me. Is when our brokerage hits a certain amount of volume, then I'm gonna go ahead and get some more.
Some more ink? Okay.
Get some more ink. So I was like, all right.
Don't mess it up on purpose because you need them.
No, we're gonna do it. It's happening.
Do you remember when you guys did the Tough Mudder? Was it the
I
Tough
do.
Mudder?
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, that was a great run.
That might have been the first time I met you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And was it Dallas?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was me, you, and Art.
Yeah, we ran that one. That was a tough one.
That was brutal. That was brutal. I can't remember what was the hardest part. I remember the ice water.
The ice water. What about the electrical shocks?
Oh, that thing. Yeah, that thing hit me and that fell, and all you heard was the MC's like, ooh. That thing hurt, man.
It knocks you on your butt.
Yeah, that hurt. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So have you done another one of those
no.
since?
He's like, that is
Nah, I'm not getting shocked by no more wires.
I gotta
good.
find the photos of that. Maybe I'll give them to Matt. He can add them to the show notes or something.
They're definitely they're probably on our Facebook. 'Cause I'm sure
probably.
Because I'm sure we shared it. But that was my thing too. Is just to do hard things.
Yeah.
We gotta be able to challenge ourselves consistently, and what better way to do it than in an obstacle course?
Yeah.
That's, 12
That shocks
miles.
you at the very end.
It was insane. It was insane. But like I said, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then got to jump in the shower and drive home. like, what are we thinking? Yeah.
I think Art had me sign up for like a mini triathlon.
Oh, we did that.
Yeah.
We did the triathlon.
And I'm like, I hadn't ridden a bike in like
We did that.
Yeah,
we did that. Okay.
In
I did that too.
Windcrest.
Yes.
That was
the Windcrest one.
Because
I had to borrow somebody's bike. It was one of y'all's attorneys, like one of your attorney friends. I don't know if it was yours or Art's, but I had to borrow someone's bike. That's how unprepared I was.
that was fun.
Yeah.
That
was fun.
I wasn't a swimmer.
I remember because you walked across the entire pool.
Yeah.
You didn't swim. You walked it. I'm like, I forgot about that.
Man.
Golly.
Oh, the good old days.
I know it. Too old for that stuff right now.
Yeah, I've made some changes. So I'm not doing any Tough Mudders, and I'm not running any marathons anymore. But I do stay in the gym.
Yeah.
And I stay lifting weights. So I'm good with that.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Let's maintain the rest.
I started
of the
stretching
way.
more too.
Stretching's
And I don't stretch enough. I went through about a good 2-3 years where I'm stretching a lot more. Fell off. Now I'm getting back into it. But like my workout will be, let's say 45 minutes a good 20 of it's stretching.
Yeah.
As we get older, our hips, our back, and shoulders.
Everything.
Yeah, everything. Everything. Waking up and you feel a pain.
Yeah. I was over there in the gym. I'm like, why am I lifting so much weight? I need to just go ahead and.
Yeah, for what?
Yeah, like nobody cares. Yeah. Nobody cares
how heavy you lift, how big the kettlebell is.
Did you see how much I was lifting? She's like, no. I was like, forget it.
Yeah, like for what? I dig that.
Not even impressed, But now it's just longevity, right?
Yeah.
Longevity and being able to maintain.
It's movement, right? I always think about like, okay, when I'm 80 years old, I want to be able to like get up off the ground, get up out of my chair without all,
all that pain.
All the pain. So we talked a little bit about, mindset. We touched on identity a little bit too. And I think, you talked about being Cruz. Cruz is who you are. And, do you feel like there's a level of respect that people give to you as the person you are outside of the role that you play, the role that you sit in, whether it be as a district person, a judge, an attorney? Who do they see you as? Who do?
Ask them. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just me.
Yeah.
And I'm unapologetically me. I'm going to show you who I am. I have a really great heart. I know that. I don't try to hurt anybody. Make decisions that people don't agree with, which is fine.
Yeah.
We can disagree, but it's not out of malice. It's not out of envy or trying to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
So if I get people's respect, I don't know. I get a lot of positive feedback.
Good.
But I want the critiques.
Yeah.
So I always tell the attorneys that come to our courtroom, if I'm doing something different, man, you let me know. Like if I'm just off the wall, you tell me. And have an open door policy. Just have a conversation. Because I'm okay being criticized.
Right.
I'm okay with that because it's growth, it's learning.
Yeah.
And I have no problem.
So when it comes to, values that you have, what values would you say that are at the core of your like decision-making process that you're like, hey, I live by these values and this helps guide my decisions and how I interact with people? I mean, you definitely are in some crazy situations sometimes.
I do a lot of praying, but I also like to focus on doing things for the right reasons.
Right.
Not just prove a point, but especially with the cases that we hear, I'm trying to help people. Now, there are some punishment or some consequences to behaviors, but at the end of the day, I'm looking out for you and your family. And I tell these kids over and over again, I have two goals on that bench. One is to keep you out of the adult system. Two is keep you alive. And I'll do what I have to make sure those two things are met. Have I failed? Yeah. We've had kids killed several times. I have kids that are now 17 and they're going to the adult side. But we also have a lot of them who are still alive and they're doing great things. Right. And we don't get a lot of positive feedback because if I don't see them again, that's great.
Great.
Yeah.
If I don't know your name, great. There's one young lady, she was a pain in my ass. And I worked with her for a long time. And she found me through another judge and was graduating high school. And so she invited me to the graduation. I was out of town that week, so I did go to something new. We didn't do this back home. The graduation walk, when they walked through the elementary, middle school, and high school. So I showed up to the high school, and she saw me and started crying. Came and gave me a hug. She's like, I'm going to college next year. Like, that's dope.
Yeah.
I said, that's dope. And she's like, thank you for being hard on me for whatever reason. But so just doing things for the right reasons. Finding like the good in people.
Right.
And really focusing on that and not the bad.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome because, I mean, you really had a hand in changing her life and the emotions that come with that. You probably weren't her favorite person at the time.
Right. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not here to be liked.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
I'm here to do what's right.
Yes.
Yeah,
my job is to keep you alive and keep you out of the adult side. And it worked for her. So it was cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear because a lot of times people's perception, of the system and the courtrooms and, dealing with all these different types of things, cases and people getting in trouble, consequences, all that stuff. And, there's a negative perception that people don't care, right? But the reality is people do care, but, we have to be mindful of our own actions and what's leading us down this path, right? So, what would you say is a common theme that we struggle with, or that's a struggle with the city where, that lands, the youth into the system of the courtroom or whatever?
I would argue that 99% of the families that come in to our court always blames that youth's friends. Mijo's a good kid, this is who he's hanging around. It's always that. The other percent will probably be cell phones. I can't tell you how many problems we have in households based off a cell phone.
What do you mean by that?
Like
just the access that
you're in trouble. So give me your cell phone. And next thing you know, they're fighting. Knives are being pulled. I mean, it gets brutal.
Wow.
They're fighting over cell phones.
Over the cell phone.
Because they got their cell phone taken away.
Yes. It's insane.
Wow.
It's an addiction.
Yeah. Well, I had a couple kids that they were stealing cars, and they kept getting caught. So I would tell them, look, man, you suck at stealing cars. Why are you still stealing cars? Use that energy to read a book. Use it for your grades. I bullshit you not. He told me that I do it because I'm trying to get likes on TikTok and Instagram.
Oh, my.
Yeah, they want to be influencers by doing stupid stuff.
Doing crime, committing crimes.
And I said, look, genius, you're on video. We see you.
My job is easy.
Yeah, your handle's right there. We know exactly who you are, and you're already on probation. So we know where you are. And it's the cell phone has changed the game.
Oh, my gosh.
But also, like I was saying before, who our kids are hanging out with. A lot of times the one that's doing most of the damage isn't the one getting in trouble because he has the rest of the kids doing it.
Right.
Or she has the rest of the kids doing
the influence.
it. Yeah. We see that a lot.
And how do people, do they ever combat that? Is there a way for them to combat that? Or is it just it's always just, hey, send them out, they come right back. You call them boomerangs, right?
Yeah. And we have some that really understand, and we have some families that really taking the initiative to move out of that environment so they're not around the same people. Now, mind you, they can jump in an Uber and go back, But we have parents that are really trying to get their kids away from that. But my counter argument is this. There's always going to be a negative influence.
There is, yeah.
That's right.
So you're going to have to learn to say no and know what's the difference between right and wrong. And you would know the difference, but you're going to have to do the difference, which is a completely different thing.
Right.
We're going to have people in our lives that are not the best for us. And we're going to have to realize, how do we judge this, and how do we get out of that situation or not let it affect us?
Yeah, and I think that right there is a big struggle point for a lot of people. Because of the influences of the friends, right?
Yeah.
And they hold on to it. And I see a lot of people that won't let go of old relationships.
Yeah.
And there's just, for some reason, they stay stuck and they don't want to leave. And it's like, why do you still stay around these people if you know it's influencing your negative behavior? And then some people say, hey, well, this is just where I'm supposed to be, or I have nowhere else to go. It's a cop-out, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, how do you get them to make those moves beyond the point of now that I'm at a certain age, I can get out of here,
right.
So I think it goes back to some of the things that you talked about earlier, which is military, college.
I'll also say this too, and we don't hear it very often, but sometimes it's okay to be by yourself. When you're going through your path of struggle, and we always look for somebody to go through that struggle with, or we look for some type of comfort, and it may be from a negative influence. We have to understand that during our times of struggle, it's okay to struggle by yourself, as long as you're going the right path. As long as you're moving forward to your goals, whatever those goals are, you're going to have to be by yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
And no one's going to understand why you're getting up at 6 a.m. to go to school. No one's going to understand why you go to bed early so you're prepared for the next day. So you may be doing it by yourself, but you discipline yourself enough to say, okay, you know what? There is a light at the end of this tunnel, and I can do this by myself. And especially with our kids, they want to be liked. They want to have friends. That's why the likes on social media, they want people to see them. Sometimes it's better to be unseen and just get the job done.
Preach.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that. And the reason why is because, when you get away from your old friends and you go into new environments and you are by yourself, I mean, that comes with the opportunity to reinvent yourself.
Right.
Now I can actually become a person that I actually want to be.
Right.
I actually want to be known as, Pastor Ed at CBC talks about labels, right? A lot of times people put labels on us. Right. And if we don't ever change what those labels are, that narrative, what people are speaking about us, then it might determine like who you become in the future. So at some point you need to say, hey, that's not who I am.
Right.
And is that who I want to be.
Yeah.
So, I think that there's a lot of opportunity to reinvent yourself when you do go down that path and you do work on yourself by yourself.
Right.
But also it's important to surround yourself around positive people that are doing something that can help, you learn
absolutely.
What it is that who you want to become. And for me, like when I was in college and I separated from my old friends and I went down this path and I was like, all right, I'm going to do something I've never done before. I'm going to work my butt off to be an honor student.
Right.
And I was never an honor student in high school, and I was like, man, I'm just going to hang out with the nerds.
All right.
Like, I'm going to hang out with all the smart people.
Right.
I'm going to sit in the front row in my classroom. Like, I'm going to do all these things that I would never do so I can change, who I was. And I would kind of chuckle because I would laugh at myself. Like, dude, like,
what am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm not playing Dungeons and Dragons.
You're a wolf in sheepskin.
Yeah.
Like, stop. It's like, no, like I'm reinventing myself. I want to be this type of person that's educated and respected, but also respected for, making those hard decisions to change, right? So I think you probably went through something similar where you're going through, those transitions, and you said that the way they were speaking, and you're like, hey, this is hard. Like, what?
These are I call them SAT words. I don't know what they mean. I have no clue. You sound good, but I have no clue what you mean.
I don't even know if I'm using this in the right context.
But you know what I've learned? That most people who have a very high vocabulary don't use the words correctly.
Right.
It's more of a way to impress people that I know these words. It's a noun, you're making it an adjective and all kind of crazy stuff. Like,
nobody talks like that.
Yeah, stop it. But going back to your point about having that support system, I also tell these kids, you will attract positivity if you're positive. So if you're by yourself and you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're going to attract the positivity that's going to help influence you and vice versa. So keep walking that path. It's going to come.
Yes.
But like you did, I was never an honor roll student.
When you graduated law school, so that's
much less in the front of the class. Yeah, I'm in the back trying to watch ESPN or something. But it's just life is a really interesting thing. I don't think anyone has it locked down solid.
Right.
It's so fluid that we have to learn every day, learn from people, learn from experiences, and just kind of appreciate the gift that we have every second. I think once we start realizing that, life can be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. The positive and the negative.
Yeah.
Because it's not really negative. You're learning from it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So did you have anyone in particular that was a mentor for you that helped you see a new way or encourage you to, maybe take this path into?
I think, there's different people, different conversations that I had. The first attorney that I worked with, Johnny Thomas, kind of showed me how to run a business. I've never run a business before until I opened up my own practice. I had a baseball coach in high school. This dude was mean. He was mean. I was late to class once, and I had to roll the field. And I wake up, I get up throwing up. My mom's all pissed off because I'm throwing up everywhere. But and he did a lot of things that I didn't agree with, but it helps me realize that life isn't fair. And sometimes someone's going to judge you, and you have to suffer those consequences of that judgment. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I had a mentor. I had experiences that I can appreciate that helped me learn and kind of pivot and do what I had to do. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I can relate to that as well. And when I was going through the education in school, and one thing that I had was just support from like teachers.
Right.
And I remember my first college course when they were like, hey, Carlos, keep going. You're barely gonna pass my class,
but good job, right?
But keep going. Don't stop. And but that opened up doors, for me to get involved with other organizations within school. And I had joined the Student Leadership Institute, and that was like,
Look at you.
I did that.
I was like, stay on campus. Do not
She
leave
was my
the
mentor.
campus.
Right? She was like, just stay there. Don't go anywhere else. I was like, all right, I got you.
I got it.
It's probably safer here for me than where I would be
Right, going back
otherwise,
home, yeah.
right? So, but, you know, like you said, it's like these experiences with different people, even though whether they were in there for a semester, a season, you know, an hour, whatever it may be, those influences or even that support or words of encouragement made a big difference. And I think it's important because, you know, people that I think, you know, they come from backgrounds like us and a lot of times they have a victim mindset where they feel like they're stuck and it's like there's no way out. And the reality is once you get to that age where you can make your own decisions and you can move around, there's resources and stuff like that can help you you know, push yourself into a new arena and redevelop yourself or to develop yourself depending on where you're at. And I think that's important for anybody that watches that's like, you know, that's young, that goes through it. Because, I mean, and that's the whole purpose of this show is the level up mindset, right? Because we start at the base level, right? Everybody starts at this base level, and it's like, okay, well, how do I grow from here? Yeah. Some people level up, some people level down, and they got to go back up.
Yeah.
So you figure that out, you know?
And that's the beauty of life, though.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's good. I won't say it's good, but it's a blessing to be uncomfortable by failing and going down.
Right.
Because you're learning something new about you. Now you have to be stronger to build yourself back up.
Right.
So that's why I always say, like, folks that come from the hood, like the real hood, you find them so successful because of the way they grew up. They had to endure so much that your average person wouldn't have to endure.
Right.
And they become execs, they become athletes or whatever else, but they're able to go through so much because they've already been rock bottom.
Yeah.
Right.
They're like, you thought that was hard.
Yeah.
I've seen hard.
Yeah, I've seen hard, right.
Especially when you empower them with some belief, right? Like, hey, like, I believe in you. Like, you can do this. Like, you're better than this. And those words of encouragement, like, when somebody takes that and runs with it, like, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah, I'm getting off this block. I'm about
to go get my law degree.
Yeah,
I ain't coming back.
Don't do that. You can be so much better. Yeah, don't do that.
Well, that ship sailed for me. So at one point I considered it.
I'm going to tell you right now, you're so much better. It's all right.
Well, the paths are made, so
we've kind of been dropping this seed in my 19-year-old's ear of law school. He's at U of H right now. He just finished his first year, but
okay.
I'm like, you know, law school wouldn't be a bad idea.
Right.
He's like,
business law. I'm telling you.
Okay, yeah.
All right, we do business law.
Yeah, I
can use you.
Think about going to law school and being an attorney. I will say it opened up so many doors for me. Not just open up my own practice. Like, you don't even have to practice law. Just having that Esquire behind your name, or, you know, you have that JD, people realize, okay, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
So it opens up so many different doors. And back to your question earlier, it's instant respect for a lot of people. I never realized that until I got older, but people are like, oh, wow, you're an attorney. And that it will shift.
Yeah.
They don't know who, especially the way I dress, the way I talk.
What kind of attorney are
Yeah,
you?
they're looking at me, whatever. And then, like, you talk white. Like, and it's like, what do you do for a living? I never say I'm a judge. I'm in law. You're a paralegal? I mean, I could be, you know. And then they'll start, like, so where I hang out, they start talking, like, oh, he's a judge. So they'll come and walk, hey, judge, man, call me Cruz. Stop it. Stop it. But no one believes it. And I like that.
Yeah.
You know, I like that. It's dope to me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just an average person. But,
Well, you know, I think with law school, not only does, you know, it gives you that respect, but, man, I just understand that there's a lot of reading, right? And I think the reading part really develops the mind.
okay.
You know, because of the exercise, right? I'm thinking about all these exercises. We do physical exercise, mental exercise, spiritual exercise, right? But that mental exercise, that reading exercise is so powerful that it makes you more resourceful. So when it's time for you to find answers, what do?
Yeah, you can find them. Read.
You can go to book.
Yeah. Well, now you Google.
You
So,
Google,
I mean,
Yeah. Chat GPT.
Yeah. That changed the game.
So now you know where my resources are at. Now I know how to find answers. Now I know what sources are credible,
Right.
which ones are not.
Yeah,
And-
it's the grit of it all, and you know that's what I tell my son too. It's not, you know, I don't expect him to be a criminal lawyer or practice law or any of that, but if you're getting your bachelor's degree, you're probably going to have to get a secondary degree behind that. If you know, so I mean, might as well.
It's not a bad gig, but also I went to law school when I was 27, 28 years old. So I was older than my counterparts because most people like your son will probably do, graduate undergrad, then go to law school. What are you, 22, 23? Ain't no way in hell I can be in law school at 22.
Yeah.
I was at Avalon, when I was 22. Okay, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. There's no way I could have been as disciplined as I was at 22 going to law school. Yeah, I couldn't have done it.
And that has everything to do with the development of our brain.
Yeah.
It's not fully developed at that time, so we're definitely not going to be making the best decisions.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah, make sure you cross that out. Don't put that on there. Yeah.
I around 24 is when my decision making started getting a little bit better.
Yeah, I think guys is 26 and women is like 22, 23.
Yeah. A lot of times they learn faster than us.
Oh, yeah, that's hands down. I'm good with that.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
For sure.
So where are we? I think we're almost wrapping it up, but let me see if there are any other questions that I wanted to get in. We talked a little about mentorship. Well, what's next for you? I mean, your judge, is there like a time limit on that?
Yeah, so they're 4-year terms. So I'm in my third year of my first term. So when I got appointed, I was associate judge. So I did that 4 years, ran. So I'm on my third year of my first term. So I'm up again next year. The primaries in March, I believe, and the generals in November. And so if I'm blessed again to win the election, I'll be there another 4 years. Yeah, but I'm just, I've always said this. I'm not a politician. Like, are you going to run for higher office? No. It's just
Somebody's going to nudge you in there.
The only thing that leaves that door a little bit open, I'd love to be the underdog.
Yeah.
Like when I ran for council, I was the underdog.
Yeah.
And so I'm okay being the underdog. I'm okay with going there and then.
I'm trying to remember who you ran against.
You know who I ran against. I kind of feel bad about it, but I mean, he's the only other black dude on council. I ran against him. Yeah. I look back, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have, but what's done is done.
Yeah.
Hey, that's fair game.
Yeah,
like
but
said,
still, San Antonio is very small, and we need to be supporting one another and not knocking each other down.
Yeah.
But like I said, what's done is done. But I don't know what's next. I would never say never, even though I said it twice. But yeah,
I feel like you got options.
I mean, there's private, and then there's the you are an excellent public servant. I think you've proved that in all that you've given to this city. So, like you said, I think you have options.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I got a 5-year-old.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, so that kind of narrows my options to dollar amounts and paying for private school and college and all that good stuff.
I want to go ahead and warn you, my brother. It's only going to go up.
Oh, I know. I know.
You already know
Yeah,
this.
I see it like, oh, Lord.
How old are you now? Let's
Yeah.
multiply that by 3.
I'm so envious.
Yeah, man. Well,
It's all good.
Yeah.
Keep you young.
It'll
Keep you young.
Keep you going, keep you motivated.
Yeah, that's what they say. Okay, I dig that. Yeah, if I don't know what's next, I'm going to appreciate what I have now, keep doing what I can, and hopefully change lives one day at a time. As we go through our docket, and see what's next.
Yeah. I love that, and changing lives and influencing them in the positive direction. We need more of that, in this world, and there's just so many negative influences, and it's tough when they get to you. They're already been around it, but hey, there's some learning opportunity, right? I think that's the best thing, because most people, for the most part, will learn when they fall the hardest.
Yep, especially us,
right?
Especially us,
especially
meaning
us.
boys.
Yeah, man,
don't touch it. It's hot. Okay. But yeah, man, it's just you've seen some of these kids, and you can kind of see the fear in their faces. Now, but we have some gangsters, and yes sir, no sir. They know how the game's played, so now it's cat and mouse. Okay, and I know you're going to get out. I know you're going to do something else, and we're going to pick you up and go through the same process over again. And you I've been doing it long enough to understand, like, who's coming from where.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, Yeah.
I totally understand.
Well, and I think, I appreciate you being able to be who you are on the bench, because, you say you're always looking to, for the best of the family, for the best for that child. But, I can't speak on anyone specifically, but it's not always that way.
Right.
It's not always that way. And there are people who maybe haven't they don't relate to the child or the family as much because maybe they've not, gone through those things. They just hear the stories and then they just base it off of that. But to really look at the heart of the person and make your decision off of that. And I mean, it definitely could be life-changing.
Yeah. But it's crucial, and I've had an experience where a judge had a very defining impact on my life, and I had grace, and I was granted probation.
Okay.
And man, it changed the total trajectory of my life because just that one chance, the final last straw,
that split second. I can go to prison or I can go home.
Yeah, you're gonna let me say thank you. I ain't coming back. Let me try this one more time.
I promise.
Let me get it right. I'm going to stay free, and I will make you proud. This is going to be the best.
You don't got to worry about me.
So shout out to all the judges out there making these tough decisions and changing lives. We appreciate it.
We got some really good judges in Bexar County.
Yeah, for
we
sure.
really do. We all put in the work, and so it's it's good stuff.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
It's needed.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep.
Sure. Tough gig, but somebody's got to do it.
I guess.
Do you ever think about going back to Houston?
Yes.
yes. Without a doubt.
You didn't know about my D2 story?
No.
So when I ran for D2, the whole zoning thing, I was the chairman of zoning, and they asked me to resign. It's like, man, I'll run against you. So at that same time, I was going to open up a practice in Houston. But I needed my San Antonio practice to kind of keep my Houston practice afloat.
Gotcha.
Until I can build it. So I ran for council to get that name rec so I can really build in San Antonio. And I messed around and won. I signed a lease in Houston, paid first month's rent. I'm ready. I'm about to go get on this appointment list. And then when I got the results. Actually, I didn't get them. Someone called me.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I was ready. I was doing my concession speech in my head. And so I got a phone call like, hey, man, you won. Nuh-uh. I said, man. So I had to call my staff. They all went to Tony G's old restaurant. And we had to have a conversation. I said, all right, that's what it is. I think I'm about to win this thing. Like, you won? So, yeah.
What are the chances?
Yeah, so that's time to shake and boogie. We got to figure this thing out. But yeah, I miss home. I go home very often. My mom's still there. My dad's there. I just came back on Sunday from there. But like I said, San Antonio's really grown on me. San Antonio's treated me wonderfully. I love the people of San Antonio. The trust they put into me in these positions. I mean, it's very family oriented. I moved here, especially the East Side, and they were just open arms. At first they're like, "Why are you here? Why are you here?" But then once they got to know who I was and what I was trying to do, it's all love. Yeah, it's good stuff.
They saw the sincerity of purpose.
Yeah, I'm not trying to BS anybody.
Right.
I just want to make people better, make myself better. Yeah. We all grow together.
Love that.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
I think that's a good segue into the final question.
Uh-oh.
You want to
What advice would you give to young Cruz or someone like you coming up trying to make their way in life, trying to find their way? What's the best advice you can give?
Want some real advice?
Yeah, some real advice.
All right. I would tell myself, no need to chase girls. They're always going to be there.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Because that gets you in a lot of trouble, especially when you're in school.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm over there chasing these little girls, and I can't get my grades right. Yeah.
Or you can have kids at a young age.
Oh, yeah. Things we've talked about. Be mindful who you hang around, okay, because that's who you are. Don't give a shit. If you want to do it, do it. Don't let anybody tell you can't do it. And, I mean, you have to be raw like that. And I wouldn't say give a shit, but I could say something else, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
But, like, you can't walk into this, like, timid. You make up your mind and you go in there and do it.
Like, don't be afraid of failure.
Don't be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Swing for it. Swing for it. It's almost like lifting weights. To get stronger, you have to lift heavier.
Yeah.
And you're going to fail.
You got to.
But you keep hitting it, and then you will break through that glass. That's some life stuff. But like finances, really big in my mindset. Watch your credit.
Yep.
Protect your credit. Save bread. Yeah, save bread every month. So that'd probably be it as of now. I'm sure it's something else, but
that's solid advice.
Yeah.
I mean, those things right there will make a difference if you apply them.
Yeah.
I think, especially on the finance side, like a lot of people, don't really, pursue financial literacy.
Right.
And but it's important, right? Because if you don't,
it's huge.
You gotta know how this stuff works. You gotta know how money works. You gotta know how to treat it respectfully. You know, I think a lot of times, especially the younger culture, where you see people throwing money like it's nothing. Like, man, that's disrespecting the money that you work hard to earn. Like, come on, man.
I'll be the one on the floor picking it all up. Call me what you want to. I'm going to invest this real quick. I'll be right back.
I got somewhere to put this.
Yeah, I'm opening my Vanguard account. Yeah,
I got get an ROI on this.
I need to figure it out. It ain't be on nobody's floor. That's for damn sure.
Well, and it's difficult too, depending on how you grew up, and if money is is foreign to you. Talking about it is uncomfortable. A lot of parents are paycheck to paycheck, and not there's not any extra. There's not any extra to invest, but there's always a way to kind of break those chains and start something new and educate yourself and want something more for yourself and your family. So I love that.
I mean, and like we said earlier, people that have been from the hood, been poor, they know I don't be poor anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've had, wish sandwiches. I wish I had some meat. We had all those things.
Right.
I don't want to ever be there.
Right.
I don't want my kid ever there, which may put her at a disadvantage, but then that's my responsibility to teach her what money is supposed to be doing for you. But, we gotta know these things.
Absolutely, 100%. Great advice. I love it. Anything else?
I have nothing else. Is there anything else you want to share? Well, we appreciate your time. We know that you got a busy schedule, and it was great. We actually ran into you sitting at a bar. Carlos and I were in our little...
Don't be putting my business out there. I don't hang out at bars.
It wasn't a bar.
It was a restaurant. We were sitting at the bar.
Yeah. The game was on TV.
The game was on TV.
Yeah.
Cruz was there to get some food.
Yeah, to watch the game and go home. Yeah.
Just to be clear, for the record.
For the record.
All that. But, we ran into an old friends, and it was just great to reconnect and to catch up and bring you on and share a little bit of your journey. So we appreciate you.
Always.
If there's any, I don't know if you're really on social media or kind of
for anyone to get a hold of you, get in touch with you. I don't know if they need a reference on an attorney.
I got a Facebook page. It's the William Cruz Shaw.
Okay.
You can do that on Instagram. I think it's Vote Cruz Shaw. Something like that. I don't know. I don't know.
You're easy to find.
Yeah, you can find me. Yeah. I'm around the block.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you sharing the stories and the background and how you've come up to where you're at today.
Appreciate that.
That means a lot, because it's just a lot of people out there that can benefit from.
Right. Hope so.
This, so.
Hope so. Well, I'm around. Y'all need anything from me? Let me know.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
That's a wrap.
All right.
All right.
See y'all next time.
We'll catch you on the next one.
I don't know who I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Where do I look?
Peace.
I don't know.
I don't know. One of these.
I don't know where I look.
No, we're good.
That's good. Thank you.